Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So in this video, I do want to talk about the Rick and Michonne scene. We actually have a lot more details. We got a lot more like photos, I guess, and a lot more like looks at the actual thing. And we got a lot more details regarding how everything was done, when it was filmed, how it was filmed, and just sort of some of the process into going into actually getting a scene like that done. So I want to talk about all of that here. And I actually want to talk about some implications from this scene on what is actually likely going to be happening in the Rick and Michonne series, and I'm very hyped because there's actually a lot of details there. And when you read a lot of the interview by Gimple and stuff, Gimple's actually giving some really awesome details on this scene here, and it was just really incredible, honestly. So yeah, anyways, before we go any further, make sure to be a subscriber if you do want to get more Walking Dead content like this. Now, we did actually get some more photos here that I do want to talk about, and I guess we'll go through this really quick here. There is a shot here of Michonne. Really incredible shot here of her. Her armor is actually going to be explained in the show. That was the one thing that they asked about. Like, well, why is she wearing like this armor almost, right? Like, she has a different type of outfit on. Like, where did she get this? What's the story behind this? And they said, like, Gimple, I think it was Gimple anyway, said that that will be explored in the spinoff. Like, that will actually be explored there. There's a huge story there. So I'm very excited for it, honestly. There's actually quite a bit of stuff to this here that I do think the Rick and Michonne show should get more than one season, definitely, for sure. I do think it's going to be a one season thing for now. They're working on something here in order to reunite these characters, but based off of what I'm seeing here, these characters aren't reuniting after a couple of episodes. I think this show here is going to be really focused on that journey of them trying to find each other, getting very close. You know, like Rick right now doesn't know that Michonne's looking for him. So I think that could be something he finds out in episode 3 or 4, right? Like he finds out, oh, Michonne's here. Michonne's looking for me, right? And then I think there's going to be a lot of stuff like that. So I do think that this show, it's going to be really incredible to see that reunion, that fight for them to find each other, you know? And then we'll have to see where they go after that. But I definitely think there's going to be more than one season because of the story here with the Pacific Republic. And there's a lot of little details here and the stuff that they're talking about with Gimple and all that. There's a pretty big story here. There's honestly, there's quite a bit here. So I think if you're a Walking Dead fan, I would be pretty excited. You know, The Walking Dead's over and you can feel sad about that. But we're, like I said, we are now officially in the era where Rick is sort of the lead of everything, right? Like we do have the Daryl spinoff and the Maggie and Negan spinoff, but like to have Rick as the center again, you know, to be focusing on that character again, like we always did. It's exciting, honestly. That scene was just amazing to actually have some Rick Grimes footage. Like that was so cool. We have another shot here of Michonne, which is just like, yeah, she's looking at the phone and stuff. I really like the fact that her katana just like stands up like that. I think that's really cool. We then have another shot of Michonne here in that armor, and she actually has a helmet to go with her armor here. Again, there's a whole story here. There's a lot that I'm not understanding in terms of just where this group is and just what exactly this is all about here. And it looks like they're actually going to be fleshing the story out quite a bit. You know, like it's going to matter in the end. So I'm very hyped for that. But yeah, really incredible shot. And then we have this shot here of Rick. And this is when he's getting ready to throw the bottle in the water, and obviously right before he gets caught by the Pacific Republic here. I will say that the really incredible thing about a lot of the Rick story here is that he has tried to get home. This might not be the first time either. He might have been trying for a while, honestly. Like it's very possible that Rick's been trying really, really hard to get back. And that is one of the things that I'm really wondering, you know, in the Rick and Michonne TV series, like how much are we going to see of Rick trying to escape beforehand? Because we did get a scene like this. I don't know how much more we really need of Rick sort of in the past, but I think seeing Rick, you know, arrive there and getting some stuff like that, I do think is very important. I think seeing him arrive to the Pacific Republic, seeing what Jadis initially did in terms of like, you know, giving him to the Pacific Republic and then she gets this sort of life or whatever, right? Because Jadis will be a part of that series. So I think seeing that is definitely very important. You want to see when a moment like that goes down, just from a story perspective, because a lot of us obviously assume that, but there's a lot of people that don't really know a lot of what's happening and might get confused by that. So to start the show off like that, I think is definitely really, really important. And yeah, I find it really awesome the fact that, you know, Rick actually escaped. Like he actually did get away. We have a shot here of Rick. Obviously, this is when he's holding the green bottle. This is just before he throws it into the water. And yeah, just a really incredible shot. I love the fact that he has that jacket on. It's just, honestly, it's a really cool jacket. Then we have this shot here of Michonne. These shots here are really incredible. There's a shot of Michonne and there's a shot of Rick like this as well with the fire and stuff. I really like these shots. That like just visually with the fire and stuff like that, honestly, just really incredible. We then have two last shots here of Rick, and this is just when I think at this point he noticed that he was actually caught and he's going to be going back. And I think, yeah, he's just pretty upset about it. And it is really intense, you know, the situation that Rick is actually in. And I just, man, I'm so excited for this. I've been seeing a lot of people saying to me that like they're very, very hyped for that Rick spinoff and just the spinoffs in general. Like, I guess a lot of people, as much as we were excited for the finale, there might have been a lot of people that just weren't excited about the story of the Commonwealth, right? There was a lot of that Rick stuff. And when we saw Rick here at the very end, it was just like this crazy hype that came out of nowhere, right? People were so excited for the story again. And that's Rick Grimes, honestly, that really is. And it's not just Rick Grimes, it is Michonne. It's all of that there. It's just the excitement of those characters coming back and the story being that exciting again, right? Because the Commonwealth arc, it was fun. I did enjoy it, but it definitely wasn't something that was interesting and I guess really entertaining, because it wasn't in the comic. In the comic, it was really boring. It definitely was a little more entertaining on the show, but like they could only really do so much with just what they did there with that arc. But we did get some new details regarding how they filmed this scene here for the finale. And they filmed it over 2 days in early August. So if you remember, a lot of people were talking about, I think at Andy Lincoln News said that, Andrew Lincoln was going to be going to Atlanta or something like that for a week. Well, it looks like, when they went there or whatever, that they sort of worked everything out. This was like obviously after Comic-Con, after they announced that the show was coming and stuff. And so, yeah, they filmed it there over 2 days. Just really incredible stuff. It also seems like Andy and Denai, their involvement here, they did want to come back for the finale. It seems like they really wanted to come back for the finale, but they also didn't want a large part because they didn't want to overshadow the current cast and what the characters are currently doing in the story and all that on the show. Just because it just wouldn't feel right. Like, definitely if Rick came in to save the day, and that was the example I actually used, and it was used in the article here by EW. I will leave a link down below to the article. But to have Rick and Michonne come in just to save the day sort of thing, it took away so much of the current story, and they didn't want to be doing that. They wanted to be a part of it in a way that celebrates The Walking Dead, and I guess still just has that intrigue there, and really sets up that story and stuff for their characters and whatnot in the spinoff. And I think for them, it was just really important to sort of keep things as is, going into that spinoff and whatnot, but also being a part of it in a way that doesn't take away from anything. And like, I definitely think having them return to Alexandria or be a part in the story in any way was just too much. And I think from a story perspective, it never made any sense. And that's why I've been saying that all for months now. Like, I've been saying, there's no way Rick and Michonne are just going to come back in the finale to save the day, to save them from the Commonwealth and whatnot, because it just makes no sense because of the spinoffs and the stuff that they have to do there. It would just be so random and out of place. And I just really didn't believe it was going to happen. And I'm happy with what we got. I really am. I'm honestly very, very excited with what we got, because I think that it's the perfect tease to the future. It really is. Like, honestly, it's such a perfect tease to what to expect in that show. T-Walking D World on Twitter actually picked up on this point here. But the jacket worn by Rick is very, very, extremely similar to the jacket worn by Silas in World Beyond. And he wore this jacket, obviously, at that facility or whatever, the Pacific Republic. Like, he was there working or whatever. And this place, I think, is a place that you're just sent to do stuff like that. So I imagine that's where Rick was sent to. He was sent to this place to work and I guess just sort of do that before, I guess the next stage of whatever. Like, a lot of people who don't listen, a lot of people, and Gimple even mentions the warden here. Like, he even mentions, like, Rick is very defiant. Michonne's defiant. The Grimes family is very defiant. And obviously being in a situation like that where he's forced to do that, of course he's going to try and escape. Rick is going to try and escape. And I think that's the one thing that first episode, and not even just the first episode, but I think the first season is really going to focus on, and that is the CRM trying to convince Rick to stay here and be a part of this. And I don't think he's going to want to. He's fighting back so hard. And that's just going to be one of those things that I think is going to be a lot of fun to watch. Gimple actually talked about this scene quite a bit here. And he did explain the smile in the end. Like I said, like, it was just Rick being defiant. Like, it was just something that, showed that he'll never give up. And like, after all of this, after everything that Rick's been through here, he's still smiling because he knows that the Pacific Republic is something he can deal with. Like, he just has that confidence there, right? We also know the location that Rick's in. He's actually in Philadelphia. So that right there is extremely exciting because it's really close to New York. It's really close to a lot of the places that they're actually in. So it's going to be really interesting to see how certain parts of the story play out here in terms of their locations. Because if this show is going to be based in Philadelphia, I mean, you got to kind of think about the fact that Michonne is going there. She's actually trying to find Rick, and Maggie and Negan are going to be going to New Jersey, right? So they're in a very similar place. They're in a very, very similar location. I do wonder if like those characters at some point are probably going to be meeting up like sooner, if anything, more than like say Rick, Michonne, and Daryl and whatnot. What I really loved about all this was the fact that this ending was basically planned from the beginning. Like the second that they started to work on this series finale here, or whatever they had plans for the ending here, it was basically like Rick and Michonne need to be a part of it. Like it was just like, that's just what's going to happen. The ending to the show is not going to be, you know, great if they're not in it. Like it's just not going to be exciting and whatnot. And so they had to work on a way that they could actually do it where, you know, it actually made a lot of sense. And again, just like I mentioned before, Andy and Denai didn't want to be a part of something that took away from the characters on the current story, and really, you know, did that. And so I do agree with that, like 100%. I like totally get it. I imagine a lot more details about the scene and some other stuff are going to be coming out over the next couple of days. I mean, that's all anyone's talking about. There's going to be some stuff in here that people theorize on a lot of stuff for the next however long, right? But yeah, I mean, expect some more details and stuff coming out. I'm guessing for sure there's going to be a lot more details coming out about the Rick and Michonne show in January, like definitely early January. There might be some stuff in December though, like especially over the next week or two, there's probably going to be a lot more details coming out regarding some of this stuff here. But yeah, I'm hyped. I cannot wait for the Rick and Michonne television show. I can't wait just to see more stuff. We actually did get our first look at the Daryl spinoff and stuff. We got a little bit of a teaser as well for The Walking Dead Dead City. So I'll break that down. We'll talk about that in separate videos and whatnot. I'll get into some of the details that we learned there, and also some stuff that we learned during Talking Dead and whatnot. Yeah, anyways, I'm going to leave it here. Definitely post your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.